We are getting older.
My dream is to be a pilot. I want to be an architect.
Geologist.
You and I are growing further. You don't really talk to me.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. We're here with the One Degree Alumni Podcast, Ep.19. And today we've got Rami, a student from way back in 2017. Hey, Rami, how you doing?
All good, Roger. How are you?
Yeah, really good. So good to see you. It's been a while since we've had a chance to catch up. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you've been up to, what you're up to now, you know, some of those memories back to One Degree, which has been sort of, 8 years ago? So quite a long time. But really looking forward to the chat. Yeah, I mean, I suppose just to start us off, what do you remember about, 2017 and that time when you sort of joined One Degree, and what sort of memories do you have?
I have a lot of memories, to be honest with you. A lot of memories. I remember the times, Saturday mornings we'd come in, we'd all have breakfast together, and then you'd come and give the talk about, okay, today we're going to be doing this. This is going to be the focus. The groups are going to be split with this. You're going to be with this mentor, then you're going to be with that mentor at this time. And then the day to day, we'd have like, depending, pizza, we'd have pizza like at around 12 or 1. Sometimes we'd go on the Astro pitch, play some football, basketball, depending on whatever we had. It was overall a good experience. I do remember it. There was even times where we went to Westminster Academy at the time, and we had the Woodside versus Westminster Academy football match. And if I recall, I do remember we lost, I think, twice because we played them twice and we lost twice.
Oh no, man. Well, it's so often the pizzas and the sport that students remember from these sessions. It's so funny.
No, no, don't get me wrong. Even the sessions as well, we remember the sessions.
Yeah.
Like I remember, there was one teacher, there was one mentor. I forgot his name. I think Nadeem.
Yeah,
What was his name? Nadeem. He had the glasses and the hat, and he used
that's
to
right. Yeah,
watch the basketball. I used to talk to him. I remember Moses as well. I remember Jabba as well. Jabba
yeah,
was so jokes. He used to kill me.
yeah.
But no, back then it was good times. I miss it.
No.
I do miss
So,
it.
so tell me about when you were given the opportunity to join this program. How were you feeling about school at that point? What were some of the things going through your mind? You obviously had several months until GCSEs were about to, you're about to write your exams. What were some of the thought processes then?
So back then, I'll be honest, personally, I wasn't really into school. I used to think of school as a habit, like, oh, I wake up in the morning, oh, I'm not looking forward to the day. Oh, like, what's this and that? But obviously, with my family, they were all saying to me, look, year 11, it's very serious this year. You need to take your studies seriously. Um, you basically need to get your head down, do your thing. Obviously, me being me, like coming from a family that take education very seriously, like I had to lock in. And then if I remember, Miss Berry at Woodside, her name was,
Yeah,
and
that's right. Yeah,
and then you was there. Miss Berry invited me to have like I think was it like a one-to-one meeting with you in one of the offices, and then you was like, oh, okay, like we're One Degree, this is what we do. We mentor students on a Saturday every morning to do this, to do that. And is this something you're interested in? If so, why are you going to be interested? And to be honest, you sold the idea to me at the time when we spoke about it, because I was like, because back then I was like, how am I going to pass my GCSEs? Like, I really thought, if I fail my GCSEs, my life is done. Because GCSEs, when you're like 15, 16, and you look at GCSEs, obviously it's different perspective, but this is how I viewed it as, without your GCSEs, you're pretty much like nothing. That's how I thought of it as. Like, I thought of it as, if I don't pass, that's my life. Basically, my education finished before even starting getting to college, getting to university, etc. And you, at the time you sold it to me, I'll be honest. You were like, "Yep, we're gonna help you with this. There's gonna be this happening Saturdays," and I was like, you know what? There's nothing wrong with trying.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, speaking about the pressure, now you described it so well there about saying, you feel like your life's over if you don't sort of get through your exams and everything. Do you think that's an unnecessary amount of pressure to be on like a 15, 16-year-old at that time?
It kind of depends on the person, I'd say. It depends on how you could handle the pressure and how you could come out of like certain
Mm,
situations. Like for example, with me, I'm the type where I think of the worst case scenario and like it gives me basically the reason of why I have to do it. Okay, if I don't pass my GCSEs, what's gonna happen? Okay, worst case scenario, I have to take this opportunity that Roger's giving me, or worst case scenario, I don't do well. It's one of those ones where it all depends on the person, it depends on the person because each person is different of how they think, how they look at perspectives. Because again, like there's always a different perspective for everything.
yeah. Did you find that the program went through quite quickly, and all of a sudden exams were upon you, or
Yes,
did it? Yeah, was it quite a quick program? Okay, and
very,
then
very quick. Very
when you
quick.
got to exams, did you feel how were you feeling when it finally got to that? You'd had a few months of one degree, feeling a little bit more kind of prepared, a little bit more ready for
A,
it, or
a lot more prepared because I'm gonna be honest, if it wasn't for one degree on those Saturdays, because obviously Monday to Friday we're at university, we're at school anyway. Monday to Friday we're at school anyway, and then with that Saturday, it's kind of like the sixth day you're at school. And
yeah,
then obviously Sunday will be your off day, which is when you're probably not going to study at all. I'll be honest, on my Sundays, I barely used to study because 6 days in a row studying, I want at least a day off.
of course,
It really helped, like, keep it in mind. Because if I was to say, if I didn't come to one degree and I was just doing, the Monday to Friday school stuff, Saturday I probably would have been at home. Like, what was I playing on the PS4? It was a PS4 back then. Probably NBA 2K or something back then. But don't get me like wrong. Like, it did help me prepare because with that Saturday from 9 to 3,
yeah,
that 9 to 3, it really did help because we did basically English, maths, basically did everything in one day.
yeah.
But we split it into different sessions, if I recall.
Okay. Okay, so then you got through the exams, you had a bit of a summer break, and then you got your exam results. And there you are getting your exam results on exam day, sort of late August 2017. Sure. Can you remember that day? Can you remember looking at that piece of paper?
I remember very well looking at that paper. I remember the first call I made. But first of all, I just want to comment on that hairstyle. I'm sorry, but what was I thinking back then? What
We've
was
all
I
been
thinking?
through the days of bad hairstyles. That's not even as bad as mine when I was your age. Don't worry about it.
I remember opening my results. I remember actually, let me say the morning of opening results. I wake up at around like 10, right? And then I go on my Snapchat and I see my secondary school friends. They're all opening results. They're celebrating like, oh my God, I got this, I got that. I'm not gonna lie, the night before I went to sleep going nervous because I was like, you know what? I don't know what I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
But then seeing my friends, they were all happy. Oh my God, we got a B in English or we got a 7 in maths, and like seeing that, I was like, you know what? Let me just get out of bed and go. Let me just go get my results. It is what it is. If I recall, my mother was in Lebanon. She was back home on a holiday back there. Um, I think I called. Who did I call? I think I called my mum. I called my mum and I said to my mum, "Yeah, I got my GCSE results." And obviously, my mum's back home, so she's with her siblings and all her relatives. They're all sick, and she's obviously said back home, "Yep, my son is getting his results today."
Yeah.
As soon as I said to my mum, "Yeah, I got the results I wanted," I just hear lots of celebrating in the background on the
Oh,
phone, like,
amazing.
"Mum, I got this," and then my mum's like, "Okay, cool. Call your dad and tell your dad you need to basically go and enroll at the college." I call my dad. Dad's like to me, "What'd you get?" I said to my dad the grades I got. My dad's like, "Okay, cool. Come straight home. We're gonna go to the college, get you enrolled, and then yeah, that's it." Like again,
Sure.
it's one of those ones. The night before, I was nervous, but then when I saw my friend's results on Snapchat, I was like, you know what? It surely isn't that bad.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh, good story. Um, oh, excuse me. So then you went and enrolled in college. Talk me through about the kind of the next phase in your life then for the next couple of years.
So college, I went from a secondary school, I went straight to a college, which I look, everyone's different, but for me, I found that as a mistake. Because with secondary school, it's like a school system where you come in, you leave at 3, or the teachers are always helping you. It's like the difference between college is much more independent. Sixth form is a lot more like a school system, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I went straight to a college, which, to be honest, I do regret because I do feel like I wasted a year, and it just, my first year in college, I let the freedom get to me because obviously from secondary school you're always inside the school. You can't go out, you can't leave to go to the shops and get something, or you can't you it was just one of those ones where the freedom really got to me.
Yeah.
I got mixed in with the wrong crowd as well. Like, it was just one of those ones where I just wasted a year and I highly, highly regretted it. And then after that, I applied to go to a new sixth form, went to a new sixth form, and throughout that 2 years of my A1 and A2, I just put my head down and grinded. I ghosted everyone. I cut off a lot of people and just was like, you know what? I don't have time to waste. I can't afford to be wasting years and years and years because that's just going to delay my graduation for university.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that story you've just given now. It's life is so often not how we act, but how we react. And you
Yes.
obviously you had a moment like everyone does in life, where you go down one path and you realize in hindsight, okay, that wasn't great, but then you reacted really well and pulled it all together. And I mean that's absolutely terrific.
I don't know how it probably I couldn't have done it without the support of my family, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Because obviously my family were always there gonna support me, like, no matter what.
Mm, mm,
But in terms of the whole ghosting thing and just, cutting people off, that was more of a my idea than anyone. Like, nobody told me, oh, you have to do this. They did say to me, you have to study, you have to put your head down. Cool, I appreciate it, I get that. But the certain crowd I had back then, I just literally cut everyone off.
yeah.
Like, I just couldn't. I just couldn't have, the crowd I was surrounded by at the time. They weren't really academics, let's just say.
Mhm. I mean, sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you got to do it. You got to isolate yourself to get on with what you need to get on with, and look, it all paid off in the end. So you got through that phase. Really really good recovery. Then tell me a little bit about making decisions for university. What you ended up deciding on, why you decided on what you decided on, and then the entry into that period of your life.
So university, I finished college or sixth form college in March 2020. It was cut short due to COVID because March
Mm.
2020 was when the whole world went
Yeah,
into
kicked
to
off. Yeah.
lockdown. And what happened was that before, obviously prior to that, we're doing our UCAS in like December 2019. We're doing it before the New Year's. So I was doing my UCAS around obviously November, December 2019. And I was very close to my basketball coach in the sixth form I was at. And obviously I was going to go to university, but I was still, not knowing what I wanted to do. I was still, because if I recall, when I was in secondary school, I kept saying to you, Roger, that I want to be an engineer, or if I'm not, I want to go to the NBA first. If I don't make it to the NBA, I want to be an engineer. Like, I look back then and I'm just like, engineer, not for me, no.
Yeah.
Uh, so back then, I still didn't know because I was doing sciences. I was doing science when I was in sixth form. And my basketball coach was like to me, okay, what is it you want to do? Because whatever you do at university, that's going to basically shape your career for the rest of your life. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I don't want to do science anymore. Because science was my strongest, like, especially for my GCSEs. Like, my sciences were like the highest GCSEs I got out of all my subjects. I was like, you know what? I'm kind of sick of science. What is it you want to do? Oh, I'm looking to get into business. Yeah, but business is boring. And I was like, no, it's not. Business is interesting. And he was like, yeah, but you're doing science. How are you going to get into? He was like, you can, but like it's going to be a different jump for you. And I was like, no, I'd rather do business, this and that. And then my basketball coach was like to me, cool, do a foundation year. I was like, isn't a foundation year going to delay me by a year? He was like, who said anything about delaying? Foundation year builds you the foundations of university, gets you to expect how the university life is, and stuff like that. Oh, but I don't want to do a foundation year. I've already wasted a year of college, which made me fail back in 2018. And he was like, with university, it doesn't matter if you get delayed or not. He was like, with the foundation year, it's gonna really, really help you. And obviously we had a back and forth, me and him. I don't want to do foundation. No, I do want to do it. No, I don't. This, that, Obviously, I'm what, 18 at the time. And I'm just like, foundation year, no waste of time. And then obviously gave the idea to my family. My family were like to me, do it. Do the foundation year. Because the foundation year will generally help you. And I was just like, you know what? Okay. I applied to SOAS University of London. I don't know if you know of SOAS or heard of it.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
I applied to SOAS. Obviously, it does have that reputation. And obviously, with a student like me, I don't know how I got into that university, I'll be so honest. I don't know how. But I got in and I did a foundation year, and my whole foundation year was remote. From September 2020 to May 2021 was my foundation year. It was all remote, but it still obviously did give me the insight of what university life is like, how lessons are done, how they expect you to write assignments, how to Harvard reference. I'm not gonna lie, before university, I didn't know how to Harvard reference. They all taught that in your foundation year.
Wow, nice, nice. So good decision. Happy with that. And then post foundation year, did you eventually get to do some in-person stuff?
So yes, in my first year, which was September 21 till May 22,
Mm,
all lectures were online because COVID restrictions were still kind of a thing.
mm,
And but tutorials were in person. So first year
mm,
uni, technically, yeah, year one was half online, half in person.
mm,
Second year uni, September 22 to May 23, which was my second year, was all in person.
mm.
Um, we also had the World Cup back then. The World Cup was probably one of the best World Cups, I'm not gonna lie. Like the vibes at the university for the World Cups were different. Like it will never be matched
Yeah,
because in the main building we had like a massive screen, like it was really big. And whenever there was matches, we used to just all go to the student union area and just watch the match. Like
nice.
I've even got videos on here,
Mm,
like from the time of when literally the student union room, it's like this. Like everyone's just watching. The vibes were amazing. Like
yeah,
that's what I really loved second year university. Second year
mm,
university was probably my favorite because that was the year I experienced both lectures and tutorials in person. Just everything. Second year uni was amazing.
nice. And how are you finding business at that point?
Oh, amazing. I was getting
Yeah,
like 60%, sometimes
yeah.
70s on my assignments. So I was getting two ones first. No, it was amazing.
So
I
happy
loved
with
it.
the choice? Getting up to second year, you happy where you
Yes.
were, where you're at? Yeah, great.
100 without a doubt.
Oh, amazing. And during this time, what was happening with your basketball? Were you still playing?
No. So once COVID hit, I remember my final ever basketball game was against we played against a college in St. Albans. That was literally a week before COVID. That was
Mm,
the final ever game I played, and that was for the sixth form. And then since then, I haven't played.
wow.
I
You don't
haven't
miss it?
played for any team. No, I do miss it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, let's say if I do walk past like the park and there's a rim, like I do ask people, "Oh, can I get a couple shots?" I do it, but like professional wise, getting into the NBA is very, very difficult.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very, very, very difficult and very competitive.
Of course, of course. Okay, so we're now up to what are we up to? 2022, 2023. So the last couple of years to bring us from the then up until present day. Tell us about that.
So third year university was just hard work because third year university, again, it's your final ever year. And you've got your dissertation you need to write up, which is about 10,000 words, and then you've got your exams. The third year was probably the most, I won't say difficult because I didn't struggle, but it was the most hard work, I'd say,
Yeah.
because you've got literally deadlines every couple weeks, which are your assignments. Then you've got group presentations, and then you need to get your group presentation together. Then there's some people that don't even respond, and there's people that don't even do the work, which is the difficult part of presentations at university. Um, then you have, let's say you got a presentation due this week, assignment next week, and then another presentation the week after. Like that's the third year, there was at least a deadline every couple weeks, and that's what kind of made it a bit difficult. But then you've got your dissertation, then you've got your meeting with your supervisor, making sure your dissertation's on point. Third year was a bit hard, but thankfully we made it through and we graduated with my BSc management degree, and I finished with a 2-1 overall.
Amazing. So what date was that when you graduated?
I graduated in June 24, but the actual graduation where I wore the gown and,
Yeah,
threw my hat and all of that, that was in September 24.
amazing. Oh, well, I mean, between leading up to GCSE exams, that whole stress, and then going through all that period in sort of college, A levels, and then the foundation year, and then a few years of university. I mean, just look at all you've achieved just in that sort of 8-year time span. Amazing, actually. I know it seems a little bit self-indulgent sometimes, but I hope you feel proud of that little journey that you've gone on already and how much you've achieved in that time.
I'm very proud, but again,
Yeah.
it's like I told you, Roger. Like I look back to, like, if you was to tell 13 or 14-year-old me who barely used to take school seriously
Yeah.
that you're gonna get this for your A levels and then you're gonna get a degree at SOAS University,
Yeah.
I'd look at you and be like, no, I'm not. Like I'm actually like I look back and I'm just like, how? Like how did I do it? I don't know. Like I just did. And I am very proud of it.
Well, if someone did ask you that exact question, how did you do it? Sum it up in a couple of words. Like what was the defining factor? For example, was it hard work? Was it resilience? Was it what is there anything that jumps to mind for you?
It was everything. It was
Mm,
hard work, it was the grind, it was the research, it was everything.
mm,
Everything. And it's one of those ones where, look, this was another thing I remember you used to say a lot. You would always say successful people. I remember this. You would always say successful people, like it's okay to fail because like people that fail like become successful. You used to say a quote, something like that. I remember when we was
mm.
at One Degree. I don't remember it word for word, but you would say the most successors were people that were that failed, something like that.
Yeah, no, that rings a bell as well. I can't remember the exact line, but it is exactly that. You can't be a success unless you failed multiple times because it's the biggest life learner that you can get, really. And you need to fail because it teaches you so much. It really is important. I mean, that's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that journey. So then, since graduating last year up till now, what have you been up to the last year?
I'm currently doing my master's now. I've
Yeah.
got literally my final exam. Let me get the date of it. I'm doing my marketing exam next week, Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. It's my final exam. Um,
Feeling okay
and
about
yeah,
that?
yeah, confident always,
Good.
always.
Good. Oh, that's incredible. So I want to wrap this up by asking you about two bits of advice, if I could. Now, if you were to go back and speak to either yourself or you were just to speak to, a current GCSE student, what kind of advice would you give them going through, a stressful kind of year that they're in right now, they're doing exams right now, or even leading up to that year?
I would tell them the stress is only temporary. Like at the end of the tunnel, there is going to be light. You will make it through, and it's okay to fail. Like don't be thinking failing is the end of the world because it really isn't. I failed again my first year in college, and look where it took me. And I wasn't the best academic wise in secondary school either.
Yeah.
I'll tell them simply, look, there's always going to be light at the end of the tunnel. If you fail, it is what it is, but it
Yeah.
will build you to be who you are, like who you're going to be in the future.
Brilliant. And then the second bit of advice or a bit of wisdom from you is, like, where you're at right now. Are you living by any kind of like motto or any kind of attitude that's just kind of, you say to yourself every day, or is there anything that kind of sums you up as a person, or anything that you think you found really useful?
I'd say I live by everything happens for a reason.
Okay.
That one.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
happens for a reason.
Nice. Sure. Well, I mean, it's been a really good chat, and it's been so nice just hearing everything that you've been up to. If we catch up again in a couple of years' time, is there any particular place you'd like to get to? Have you got that vision, that dream of where you want to be at in a couple of years?
So I'm looking to get into account managing. I don't know if you saw my LinkedIn, but I was
Mhm.
at the Virgin Media O2 head office.
Spotted that, yeah.
This was back in February. I posted it only recently because literally again I've just been so busy with with my masters. I want to get into account managing, which is basically looking after corporate accounts, building relationships, meeting with clients, but on a corporate scale, like I'm looking at something in telecoms, you
Mm.
know,
Okay,
because
nice.
because tech and phones, laptops, iPads, phones, the whole thing, it does, it fascinates me, like I like my tech.
Definitely, definitely. Well, Rami, it's been great catching up with you. Thanks so much for sharing those stories and being so honest about everything. It's been a real pleasure. Yeah. No, if you've got any final words, now's the time.
No, I just want to thank you for everything, to be honest, from the
Oh,
times
you're
of when I
welcome.
was back in secondary to up until obviously now. But I really appreciate everything you did for me, Roger, back then.
You're welcome, man. And it's so good to see it. You're doing so well, and it's been really good catching up. So yeah, thank you so much. To everyone listening, this has been One Degree Alumni Stories, episode 19, and we've been listening to Rami, a student from One Degree 2017. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you next time. Bye.